It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video. And today I wanted to tell you where I've been. I know my videos have been a bit sporadic and a bit lacking, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But one of those is I've been trying to rework my front yard. There's a lot of other things that are going on too, so I just wanted to give you an explanation. I don't know that I owe you one, but I feel like I should give you one anyways. So I think it's deserving, just so you know what's going on with the channel. I'm still super into open source. I love it. It does get hard sometimes to find new content and new things to show, just because there are kind of periods where there's suddenly a lot of stuff and then suddenly not so much stuff. And right now with AI going, I think there's just not as much new stuff that's worth covering. So I did want to talk a little bit about that aspect of it too, but I wanted to let you know, like, why have you not seen as much from me lately? So the front yard makeover for sure is one of the reasons. I don't have all the pictures, but my front yard, so previously, if we just kind of look at this little video, you can see I had a hill here. My front yard was eroding. So right off of that curb that's sweeping by, I've now put these bricks. So we basically bricked the whole front curb. This is after we did the first layer on the other side. And each one of those sides is around 100 feet. 30 meters, somewhere in there. So, you know, right along the front of my house is, 200 meters or so. And then as you go back, you can see a few bricks there in the background, and there's a hill. Let me pause because I'm just sweeping so fast it's hard for you to see anything. Let me get to a spot where you can see something useful. It's just going to kick in and start over. Yeah, so my yard is fairly large and it takes a lot of water, and as you can see, my grass is not green right now, and there's a lot of weeds and other stuff going on. This tree died from a freeze a few years ago, so we're trying to clean this up, and it's just been a lot of work. I had to dig out this trench along this front to get these bricks laid, and luckily my wife is really good at getting the bricks down once I've done digging the trench. But this trench I started last year in June. I got hired at my new job and I started this almost the exact same time, and then my mom got sick and she was in the hospital, so I probably made about 20 feet of progress the whole last summer. It is also extremely hot where I live, so 40 degrees and up Celsius, 105 and up most days. Like the lowest it gets a lot of times is 85 Fahrenheit in the mornings. So getting out here and working early is important, and then I have to start work, of course, and I work from home luckily, but I mean, I can only work for 30 or 45 minutes where there's daylight, maybe an hour, and then I've got to get ready for work. So it was very slow going, and once I got to do it, it went pretty great. But yeah, so that's the front yard as it was, and I've got these hills. So erosion was happening here, and then there's this hill where these trees, and just mowing these things and watering all of this when there's not a lot of rain where I live generally. There's been a lot of rain, of course, this season now that we're trying to do something. So this is what we've done, is we've cut down into the ground and put gravel, and then we've stacked these bricks. And you can see there's about, 6 layers of bricks depending on where you're at on this row. And again, this stretches around about 70 or 80 feet. I can't remember exactly how far it goes. And then same thing on the other direction. Let me see, is it going to let me go? No, it's going to maybe go this way. Okay. Same thing other direction. One's a little bit longer than the other, but again, 5 to 6 layers of brick. So a lot of brick, and it took a long time to get all of this trenched and flat, and just everything you have to do to make it not fall over in the long run. And then once you've done that, you've got to put gravel behind it. So we did that. So I had 7 tons. And that's not an exaggeration, 7 tons of gravel delivered to my front yard, and I had to shovel that and use a wheelbarrow to bring it and put it over this wall. And I realized I was knocking the bricks down and trying to do that, so then I just got about 8 5-gallon buckets, and I would fill those up with gravel and carry 2 at a time and dump it and walk all the way back to where the gravel was, and just did that to put it behind the wall. So after we did that, I realized there was no way I was going to be able to use a shovel to get rid of all the grass and dirt and excess that we wanted. You can see here some of the gravel that I spread, and there's a little bird that decided to land to this day. So we rented a machine, and my wife is luckily quite capable at operating machinery, so she had to learn on the fly because there's really no instruction book, but this is called a mini track. And you can see it's got a nice little dump canister there. She's trying to figure out how to work it and not fall off of it. She's kind of little, so these bumps could throw her, but you know, she's doing all of the work of digging out everything in the front. I had to work that day, so she continued to do the work, and you can see her there driving, and she's actually leveling. So she's already dug up a bunch in this case, and she's been going back and forth leveling quite a bit of it. And so right here, yeah, she's pulling back, you see, so she's going backwards and leveling out what she's already dug up. So yeah, we're trying to get everything ready, and we use that dirt, which is great, to backfill here. So where that hill was, it went down and there was a big gap here, so we're using all of that dirt that we pulled up to backfill here, and we'll try to level this off, and I'll get some nice grass going, and then I'll only be watering about a third of what was the full front yard, which is great. So I'm going to cut down on how much water I'm using to keep the yard green, but I do like to have a green, nice looking yard. I do try to keep it up throughout the year. I've covered open sprinkler multiple times. I use that to control my sprinkler system. So this down here is going to be Xeriscaped, which I'm excited about. We're going to get some gravel and rock, and I'll show you some more pictures when it's done, but this is where we're at. We've scalped it, we've kind of leveled it. We've got to go in and put down the underlayment and things like that, but this is a huge project. It has taken a ton of time, and I'm in my early 50s now, so my back is telling me that I'm doing a lot more work than I probably should be for my level of physical fitness and my age. But yeah, 7 tons of rock to move behind these 2 walls was a lot of rock to move, and we're going to get even more that we're going to have to spread out in these areas. And we'll probably have to rent some heavy equipment again to do that instead of trying to do it by hand. But yeah, we did a lot of work over the last few months on this, and it's really where I've been, because it takes a lot of our time on the weekends to get a lot of this work done. I mean, this just laying down the foundation took an entire day on one side, and then we have to start stacking these bricks and making sure they're spaced well and things like that. So yeah, and you can see it's not quite straight all the way down. We swerved a little bit as we went, but that's okay. It looks really good, and it feels nice to get it kind of set. And yeah, we were able to do it without messing up water sprinkler pipes too much, which is great. So that's one of the things I've been doing. It's nothing to do with open source. It just means that my channel hasn't been getting videos. The next thing I wanted to talk about is what I've also been doing. And my work is not an open source project. It is a company that is for profit, and it's a company that makes software for public safety. So if you don't know my background, I was a police officer for 10 years, and I loved it. I loved every minute of that job. I loved everything that I got to do in that job. I mean, it definitely left me with a little bit of PTSD. I'm not a huge fan of crowds and big crowds of people, and it makes me nervous, and I just don't like it. It's not something I can't handle, but if I can avoid it, I do for sure. I also stay busy, and with work, I work from home, but my work is very invested in AI right now. And I was definitely, I guess, what I would call an AI Luddite. I did not jump on the AI bandwagon 2 or 3 years ago when ChatGPT really got notoriety. I mean, AI has been around for years and decades, right? But it's really come to light for most average users in the last few years, and I just was not one of those people. I didn't see it as the greatest, coolest thing in the world that everybody else does, and I'm still not sure that I do. I think it's neat. I think it's got a lot of really cool functions and capabilities, but I'm not 100% sold that it does everything like it should. And I think we see that in a lot of the news stories. If you follow tech news, you'll see that quite a bit still. But my company is very bought into it, and they want to make sure it's included in our products. And that means that I had to go and start learning about AI. So I had a few choices. I could just ignore it, or I could try to understand it better. So I started off just by watching videos of other people talking about AI, people who know what they're talking about, I presume, since that's basically what their whole channel's about. And me trying to understand not just what is it and how do I use it, but like, how is it built in the first place? How does it function in the background? I want to understand what it's doing and why it's doing and why it gets stuck and why it messes up and those kind of things. So I've been trying to understand that and learn that. And then just using it and understanding how to use it to make it a better product in my product, because I'm a product manager. I'm the guy who decides what goes into the software. When does it go into the software? How much of a key feature is it in the software? So in this case, I've been told that AI needs to be a very key feature in our software. So if I can't understand it, how am I supposed to put that in my software for other people? And you know me, I'm an open source guy. So I went and found Open Code, which is an open source AI coding agent, just because I was interested to see this aspect of it. All my developers talk about, they use Claude, the company pays for that for them. They love it. They think it's the coolest thing in the world, and they've set up just tons and tons of automations and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, I need to understand what these guys are doing and how this is working so that I can make these kind of good decisions for what our users can get out of our software when we're putting AI into it as well. I didn't want it to be a co-pilot thing where it's everywhere and just stuck all over the place and like, here's AI for the calculator app. Like, it's so stupid. Microsoft can hate me or not. I don't really care. I think everything they've done with AI so far has been pretty crap. But I think there is the right way to do it, and I think Open Code has really done that, where they built a tool and you can use a command line utility, or you can run it in the browser with a chat interface. I mean, it's all really just a chat interface, and you've got some really cool features that you can build into it, and you can give it skills and agents and things like that. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to learn how to do this, I need to do a couple of things. So I actually built a couple of things. So I had a bunch of videos that I wanted to compress, and I saw a really cool feature that a guy made, a piece of software that he made with AI, and I thought, hey, that's pretty neat. I tried it, it just didn't function for me. He fixed a couple things. I tried it, it still didn't function for me. He gave it so much feature capability with FFmpeg that I think it was just me not understanding how to set the settings correctly. So I just went in and said, I think I'm going to try this. So I used Claude, the open free one, not open source, but the free version of Claude, just to get something built. This has got a Python backend, and then it's just got a web GUI on top. So this is actually something you would install on your server. So I installed this on my media server. So I basically just said, like, here, I want it to be 1/3 as big. So I give it 33%. It knows what that is. I can feed it in a Docker Compose what this path means, and I can tell it where to find my media. And then I can tell it, like, how big of a file is the smallest file it should find. So I said 2.5 gigabytes. That's a really big file for me. And then I just told it, okay, go find those things and give me a list. So in this case, I'll just tell it, let's go to /media. Let's see, I probably need to do it this way, /media. And then I can browse. Yeah, now it gives me all of these things. And I've got TV right here. And I can just hit that. And I've 2.5. So let's go scan that folder. So it's going to go scan that folder. It only finds one thing. So it's got this version of Tracker that I've got. So I can just check this box. And then I can tell it, hey, do you want to get an email when it's done? And I can say yes and put in my email. I can say compress now, or I can schedule it for later. So if I don't want it to be doing the compression stuff during the day or whatever, or during the evening while we're watching TV, I can tell it do it later, and it will do it later. And then I can click on go, and it'll schedule that, and it works. It's cool. It took a lot of iteration. Do not misunderstand. I did not just tell Claude what I wanted, and it just popped it out. It took a lot of iteration to get to this point that it functions. I did go through every line of code that it wrote in Python and make sure I understood what it was doing. I went through the web application that it made, which is just a single page web app. I think I finally broke it apart into multiple pages, and I told it, it was one long page. I said, hey, break it apart into tabs so it's more like a wizard. So, once you tell it, hey, go compress this thing, I think there's something wrong with this one because it doesn't want to compress it, and I think this is the wrong format anyways. Oh, it wants that because I checked the box. So if I do this, it's going to try, it's going to fail. So there's something wrong with that video. I just need to go check what it is. Probably permissions. Usually when I get this, there's a permissions issue with my video. I just need to go check the permissions on it and fix it. And then it'll start the compression. And when it's done, it tells me. And if I leave the page and come back, I told it, like, hey, I want to be able to see the updated progress, not have to start over and not know what's going on. So a lot of little iterations, and it came out really good, and it does some pretty cool stuff. But again, I checked everything about this application. AI is interesting. It tries to shortcut those tests a lot of times, I've noticed. Like, it won't run them all. The last time I did something where I was like, hey, check for CVEs on the things you use for this application. Well, it found a couple, it fixed them, and then it was like, okay, I'm passing all but 15 tests. And I was like, well, what do you mean all but 15? Like, this should pass all the tests. Go fix what's wrong that's making these tests fail. So it had to work on that for a while, and it went through circles, and I was like, go through it, test it. If it doesn't work, fix it. Keep going until you fix all the problems and make sure the application still runs, and then run all of your front end end-to-end tests again and make sure everything passes. So it's a conversation, and it's a little bit like babysitting. It's just babysitting a coder who's super fast at coding, and then you have to kind of catch up on what got done, and you have to look at like what's it doing. So just like that for everything. So for this application here, again, happy to let you guys take a look at this, run it through whatever you want to see if it's got a bunch of holes in it. But this was just a really cool thing. I was already building one myself. I just thought, okay, I kind of know what I want, so I could give it the requirements pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, in here you can go in. You've got this dashboard. You can go in and you can actually, all these things function because I wanted to see how much it took to get that to that point. This is just my process. This is where I've been. This is why I haven't been putting out as many videos, because I've just been tied up with so many other things just on my plate, and they really eat up a lot of my time. So this has eaten up the most for sure, just doing the yard work. This has been a big part of it because, again, I've got to get caught up. I can't be the guy who's left behind forever. I know AI is a touchy subject with you guys, and I can't blame you. It is a scary thing to think about what it can do. But as I've said before, and multiple people have said this since then, and I've heard it from other people, AI is not going to take your job, but it can be the thing that displaces you, because you should be the person who knows how to use AI. You should be the person who knows how to use this tool to improve your performance, to make your job easier and better, to be the guy who knows how to use AI to accelerate what's going on with whatever you do. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, at some point this is going to have an effect on you too. So I can't recommend enough that you get out there and learn it. I know there are big ethical questions about how AI has grabbed all of their data for these large language models. I can't defend that, but I can say 100% if you want to work in the tech or software or IT or any other industry, this is a tool you should learn how to use, and you should learn how to use it well and how to put good rails around it. So I want you to understand why I haven't been around the videos lately for sure, and I want you to understand that I'll probably be covering some AI topics, and I know this is a sensitive topic for some folks. It's not to make you feel bad, it's to let you know what's going on in the tech world. I think it's valuable to understand it. I think it's valuable to know what's happening with it, and I can't express enough how much of an interesting topic it really is. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm never going to come to you like an expert. There are other channels out there who have guys who are extreme experts in this kind of stuff. Just wanted to let you know that. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and then come along the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.